All right, welcome back to the show. I am Dan Edwards, and you are listening slash watching, the Seattle Eastside Real Estate Team podcast. And we are here with uh, Efrem from Boona Coffee. Efrem, welcome.
Thank you, Dan. Pleasure to be here. And of course, great to see you,
Hey, am I
Tucker.
pronouncing your last name right? I hate when people don't get my name right. Is that right?
Close enough, man. Fesaha.
Oh,
Fesaha.
not
Yeah,
even close.
Efrem Fesaha.
Fesaha. Okay, all right. Efrem Fesaha. You have to like pause
Yeah,
before you
perfect.
say that last name. Okay. Well, cool. Thank you so
Um,
much. So it looks like a first generation. Um, I do not know what Eritrean American is. Where is that from?
Eritrea is a country in East Africa. It borders Ethiopia. It's a country. I mean, it's independent as of 1991, so it's relatively young in the kind of as a identified spot on the world map.
That's awesome. Well, hey,
Yeah.
I just learned a new country I didn't even know existed. That's
Uh,
awesome. So
that's
you guys moved here, West Seattle, in 1988.
yeah,
As an opportunity, your father received to work for Boeing as a mechanical engineer.
yeah.
You attended grade school in West Seattle, Washington State University. That's okay. We got a lot of UW folks here, but that's all right.
Greatest university.
You're a candidate for Masters in Business at Seattle U. That's awesome. That's a great school. My wife went to Seattle U. Before he established Boona Coffee, Efrem worked for 13 years in the corporate finance for local companies such as Holland America, Nordstrom's, and Amazon. And in 2011, Efrem returned from a 3-month stay in his family's native country of Eritrea, where he became inspired by the cafe culture that existed in the capital, Asmara. I probably butchered that too, and returned to
Yes, you
Seattle.
nailed that one.
Oh, very good. With a desired adventure in the coffee. So, I mean, it's pretty excellent because if I know my history right, is coffee kind of originated in that part of the world, right? Ethiopia and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
The word coffee itself is derives from a village in Ethiopia called Kaffa. And Kaffa, Ethiopia, is the birthplace of Arabica coffee, which is primarily the coffee that we drink. Coffee all started out of Ethiopia.
There you go. So now you've taken your passion and your business acumen to start this business. Where did that come from?
I think it was, one was the having that kind of experience in the finance and just kind of the business space, and really enjoying the good challenge that came out of it. Just kind of evaluating, our next move and why decisions are being made for the sake of the business and where is it going. I just enjoyed a good math challenge. I was terrible in math in grade school, but somehow when it came to my career or when it came to evaluating business, I just really enjoyed it. And then really the passion for coffee really was that trip to Eritrea. And, the 3 months that I spent there, it wasn't intended to be a trip for coffee, but I came back with a passion for it. And I mean, I live in Seattle. And so it only makes sense to have, some kind of attachment to coffee being here. But it was just something that I just got really passionate about it, and I wanted to bring the two together. I had some ideas about how I wanted to go about it, and I was pretty stubborn about how I wanted to go on that path, and it took a while, but kind of found our way.
That's awesome. And Tucker, you're welcome to jump in with any questions you have as we're going along. So tell us a little bit about coffee.
Well, I mean, there's so much to say about coffee. I mean, obviously, there's the history of it, of course, where it stems from and how it traveled. I mean, most people don't know that, coffee, yes, started in Ethiopia, but then it moved across into Yemen, Yemen into Turkey, Turkey into Europe. Europeans then took it into Indonesia, Central and South America. And that was like in the 1500s, 1600s. So, this journey of coffee, this beverage that we all enjoy, or most of us enjoy, it has its histories in Africa, and just wanting to share that the roots in that story, and even our name, Boona Coffee. Boon is how we say coffee in Eritrea, but then even in parts of Kenya and South Sudan, so other parts of East Africa. But then Boona is primarily in Ethiopia. But Boona Coffee is really just coffee. And so we're just nerds for coffee. There's so many there's so much associated to it. It's definitely this beverage. Both has historical importance. Of course, it's the second most traded commodity in the world after gold. It's this product that one, we consume as a community, but then also to get our caffeine fix, and so it holds this place. But when we get to take time and spend a little bit more as where it stems from, what it comes, what's its story. When you're having that cup of coffee, it's no different than something else that you enjoy. If you enjoy a good meal, you're interested about where that fish came from, or what part of the cow that came from, or what kind of vegetables, which farm that came from. So that level of interest, that's something people can dive into, given the opportunity, I think, from roasters and cafes and baristas and such along the chain, to tell that story.
Nice.
Dan, do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, go for it.
Efrem, so as a coffee, like, I consider you, an expert at coffee. How do you enjoy your cup of coffee, or what's your favorite way of serving your coffee?
Man, I'd have to say that my favorite way is this. It's a very traditional approach to coffee. So, kind of backstory, but coffee first started as a seed that was just roasted up, ground up, and just chewed on as a bean. But then the water started to get added to it. In East Africa, Ethiopia and Eritrea in particular, there's this process called we call it the coffee ceremony, but really it's just coffee consumption. But we brew our coffee in a clay pot called a jebena. And so you roast your coffee, you grind it, you brew it in this clay pot, and it's the best cup of coffee, I believe. That's what I grew up on. That's what inspired me, more than the caramel macchiato frappuccino. It was that got me, and that's how I really love having my coffee. So if I'm having coffee at home, I'll take the time to roast my coffee, grind it myself, and then brew it in that clay pot, which takes, as you would imagine, probably about an hour to do. But it's the best experience. This is the best for me, hands down.
That's awesome.
Love that.
So do you feel as you're building this business, you have how many shops again?
We've got 2 and a third opening up here in about 2-3 weeks or so.
2 and a third. So you'll have 3. How do you feel you're making an impact on your local community?
I think that there's so many ways. One, where I'd say, we're benefiting most off of our community, just by the support that we gain, the support that we get to stay open, especially during, our first year, but then the challenges of the pandemic and such. So we've been very fortunate, but we realize we have a responsibility and an opportunity as well to give back. And so, it's collaborating with nonprofits, collaborating with those that are doing great things in our community. So United Way King County, or Feast Seattle, or Vision House. These are organizations doing great work. And so whether it's, highlighting the work that they're doing through events at our cafe, or sponsoring or supporting them, or even really, giving back financially, even as a small business, I think that you can make small impacts, even if it's not a great sizable financial donation. We have their names written on our bags, and we sell them all over the place. And so we hope that even that gains some publicity and gets awareness out there as to what they're doing. So there's that. Inside of our cafes also, we open our doors to a lot of other small businesses, especially food and beverage, to showcase their food, to have them do pop-ups inside there. But both outside and inside of the space, it's important to us to be very active in our communities, because we know we wouldn't be here without the support that we've received and that we continue to receive. And so it's just our responsibility.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's truly making an impact on our local community. I've had the opportunity to go to Boona quite a bit, and it's very rare that there's an empty seat in any of those shops. So definitely the community is taking a liking to it. Efrem, are you doing anything to impact the global world, or anything you're doing in Africa to kind of give back there as well, from like kind of this inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, that was the genesis of it also, was the fact that, having taken a trip to Eritrea, leaving there, I thought about, how do I create economy? How do I bridge between Africa and, North America. And I thought that, coffee would be a great opportunity to do so. And so there are, one, the individual farmers and the producers that we work with, and the co-ops and such. But then also there's, things that we do kind of above and beyond, where we try finding these opportunities to, whether it's helping reestablish facilities for producing coffee, whether it's helping them rebuild or establish washing facilities for their coffees, or just simply in the general community and providing premiums on our coffees. So yes, of course, a lot of our coffees are fair trade, organic, but there are so many different ways that one can go about that. What we look for are just those creative ways. A lot of our supply chain is based there. And so a lot of the dollars, a lot of the impact of that commerce, we try leaving a lot of that there, and less hands kind of with the large multinational kind of movers in coffee. And so there's a lot of intentionality, a lot of small producers that we work with to be able to make this all happen.
Awesome. So if I go into your shop, what do you recommend I try? Do you got that clay pot stuff there?
We do have the clay pot stuff.
Yeah.
We have it, the ceremony is something that we started doing on Saturdays and Sundays when we first opened. We stopped it during the pandemic. We're getting ready to turn it back on, but it says there's a space inside of our Renton Cafe where the coffee ceremony will happen. And it's definitely something that I enjoy the most, but we're probably I'd probably say about a month out from turning it back on. We're just getting it set up and ready to go. So we're excited by that. But we're also a traditional cafe in the sense that you can get your espresso, you can get your latte, house-made syrups, seasonal drinks. There's a whole breadth of delicious beverages there.
Awesome. And the stores are Renton and...
Yeah, so downtown Renton is our roastery and cafe. And then our second cafe was opened is about a year and a half old, is on 12th and James in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And then right across from Seattle University. And then our third one is opening up here in a few weeks, as I mentioned, inside the UW bookstore on University Avenue. So, something a little bit further north. So we're kind of hitting all three parts of a little trip around along I-5 corridor there.
And so I hear there's a story about Khalid's.
Oh, Khalid's. Yeah. So Khalid's is kind of the patron saint or the iconic kind of head of coffee. And so Khalid's is attributed with finding coffee. And so this is about 1,000 years ago in Ethiopia. Khalid's took his goats up into the mountains of Ethiopia. And his goats are eating, enjoying the day. And he falls asleep, takes a nap, wakes up to hear them make a whole bunch of noise. And he's worried. So he goes, checks on his goats. And his goats are eating these little red cherries. So he's a little concerned. So he takes a branch of it back to the village and he shows the elders. He says, hey, the goats were eating this. I'm not too sure what it is, but they're acting all wild now. The elders look at it and say, we're not familiar with this. And they throw it into the fire. It starts to cook and they start smelling the aroma, the sweet aroma, which was coffee. They pull it out. They start to chew on it. And that's said to be the start of coffee consumption about 1,000 years ago in Ethiopia, and it's attributed to Khalid's. Khalid's has become, kind of a name of its own now. And so you'll find cafes, roasteries, importers use the name Khalid's, or even sleeping goats, dancing goats, all these different things attributed to this story. And there's different variations as legends go, but
So Khalid's is like the Starbucks of the world, basically, of all coffee.
Yes.
That is the OG, right?
That is the OG. That is the OG. Yeah. About 900 years before Starbucks.
Yeah, that's so good. What a great story. I love small business owners like yourself that have a passion for what it is they do. I just want to encourage everybody, when you get a chance, go check them out. I know I will. I love coffee. So next time I'm in Renton, I'm going to do that. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate your time today.
No, I truly appreciate it. Congratulations on reaching 100. That's a major milestone. That's dedication, that's persistence, and that's great. And Tucker. Always grateful to see you and appreciate all the support. Tucker is a day one Boon Boona supporter. So him
Yeah,
and his
well,
wife.
he likes his coffee too. That's good.
Yeah. Walking
Thank
distance to my house. So, hey, Efrem, before we let you go, any, Dan, you can appreciate this. Any, sneak previews on some barrel aged beans or anything for those guys that also enjoy whiskey?
Oh man, let me tell you, we just released that a week ago, and we
Oh,
did it different. We did it so different now. It's out. Don't worry. It's here for a while, but we use honey bourbon barrel aged, like they're honey bourbon barrels that we use this time, and the coffee that we put into there is this really delicious, Burundi's coffee. I mean, even the coffee itself has like a great story. It's an all woman owned and operated farm in Burundi. Like it's all out and it's delicious. Yeah, but it was honey bourbon. Last year we did bourbon. Let's see, what did we do the year before? I think it was a whiskey the year before that, or we're thinking about gin soon. But basically, what we do is we put our green coffee into these barrels and roast it, and it's just delicious. So.
Oh, you roast it in the barrel.
No. So what we do is you put the green coffee, the raw product, inside the barrel.
Yeah.
And you let it sit in there for about a period of a week and a half or so. And you rotate it every day to agitate it and to soak up. But basically, it starts to absorb the alcohol off of the barrel. And then you roast that. And when you roast it, it's just a phenomenal coffee. Yeah.
Oh, that's killer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, that's great. Hey, thanks for bringing that one up, Tucker.
Yeah. Good call. Thank you for the reminder, Tucker.
I was like, wait, does it come with whiskey? No. Okay,
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We have partnered with some good local brands, Ula and Two Bars and stuff locally.
Awesome. Very good. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us today. Up next, after the short commercial break, we're going to welcome our good friend, Doug Peterson with Get Priorities Straight. Come back after the short break.